Chairman Mineta briefed reporters on new air safety initiatives in response to last week's terrorist attacks. He spoke for about 20 minutes.
Today, I am announcing the creation of 2 rapid response teams. I have asked 6 national leaders in aviation and security protection to join with senior executives here at the Department of Transportation, including FAA officials. By October 1, they will report to me with specific recommendations for improving security within our nation's aviation system. Now, our team will focus on increasing security, or one team will focus on increasing security at our nation's airports. The other team will focus on aircraft integrity and security with a specific focus on cockpit access. Now, these teams will augment our existing experts at the Federal Aviation Administration and the Department of Transportation. By the way, let me take this opportunity to thank all of the employees of the Federal Aviation Administration under the great leadership of Jane Garvey and Monty Belger for the heroic work that they have done in response to this national crisis. When I ordered the National Airspace System to be cleared last Tuesday morning, the FAA air traffic controllers and the flight deck crews of all of the airlines and pilots who were in the air at the time brought down every flight nationwide safely and in a coordinated manner. And everyone from the screeners at the airport to the pilots and cabin crews, the additional law enforcement personnel, everyone is working at a high level of dedication and teamwork. And all I would like to say to everyone is thanks a million. Now, our efforts must turn towards the development of long-term sustainable security improvements within our airports and on the aircrafts themselves in order to ensure American passengers with the highest possible levels of safety. Now, I understand the complexity of these issues, and I know that there have been numerous past studies that have been undertaken. But what I expect now are the right answers in response to the dramatic events since Tuesday's crisis. Now, the Department of Transportation is prepared to act immediately, and I am confident that each of these very distinguished task force members will help us do just that. The task force members will be, first of all, Robert W. Baker, Vice Chairman of American Airlines; Charles M. Chip Barkley, President of the American Association of Airport Executives; Robert A. Davis, former Vice President of Engineering and Technology for the Boeing Company; Herb Keller, Chairman of the Board of Directors, Southwest Airlines; Raymond Kelly, former Commissioner of the U.S. Customs Service and veteran law enforcement officer; and the 6th person is Captain Dwayne Worth, President of the Airline Pilots Association. Let me give you first a sense of what we have been doing here at the department. On September 13th, you will recall I announced the gradual restoration of mobility within the national airspace system. We have taken immediate steps to develop heightened security measures to ensure the safety of airline passengers. All of the country's major airports have resumed normal air service operations, with the exception of Ronald Reagan National Airport, which remains temporarily closed. Now, immediately following the acts of these terrorists, the Department of Transportation, under the Ports and Waterways Safety Act, took all necessary action to control the movement of all vessels in the navigable waters of the United States. That is under the primary jurisdiction of the United States Coast Guard. And all ports and waterways have remained open and secure since September 12. I have directed the Coast Guard to activate their port security units in New York, Los Angeles, Long Beach, California, and Puget Sound, Washington. The Coast Guard has mobilized their reserve members, bringing 600 additional Coast Guard members to the Atlantic area and an additional 225 Coast Guard folks to the Pacific. In addition, the Coast Guard continues to assist disaster relief efforts in New York, having created a virtual highway in the port of or the New York Harbor in order to support rescue operations. It is also transporting disaster rescuers using a fleet of 9 Coast Guard cutters, 7 Coast Guard small boats, and 4 Coast Guard helicopters. To ensure pipeline safety, the Department of Transportation issued a pipeline security information circular on September 11th, recommending that all pipeline companies take steps to implement emergency security measures and to develop a long-term plan to strengthen security operations. In conclusion, let me quote President Bush. "The world has changed." End of quote. Now, I would add, so has the nature of our national transportation system. Our national transportation system has become a target. Passenger vehicles have been transformed into lethal weapons in a profane and cowardly campaign of violence. This past week requires us to develop a new system that will move people and commerce safely and efficiently. And that is the mission before us. I promise the American people that the President and I, working with other federal officials, as well as state and local government and the private sector, will accomplish that mission. I'll now take questions.
Mr. Mineta, Matt Walden, New York Times. Have you changed the linkage between the FAA and other transportation operating agencies and the Pentagon in terms of how you alert the Pentagon? And there are conflicting reports on when the FAA told the Pentagon what was going on. Can you clarify that?
Well, we haven't changed the linkage because the linkage has had already existed between FAA and DOD, and we did notify them in a timely basis, and we've gone over that and are satisfied that we notified them in a timely basis. Now, in terms of additional linkage, we have now a direct linkage to the Port Authority New York, New Jersey, and in order to, especially during this time, because of the crisis state that we're under in terms of making sure that we get the transportation system up and moving as quickly as possible. But there has been a review of that FAA/DOD linkage, and we are satisfied that it was done on a timely basis.
Do you know when it was done, the first impact being 8:48 at the World Trade Center? By one account, it was done before that, but the Pentagon is saying it didn't hear anything until 15 minutes before the third impact at 9:45.
Well, I can't account for what DOD is saying, but then I know that in our review of what we have done, we are satisfied that we notified. Our linkage is with NORAD, and we're satisfied that that was done in a timely basis.
Some of the people that have been named in Tuesday's attacks are on the nation's terrorist watch lists. Can you tell us how they move so freely within the United States and how they were able to board U.S. aircraft without question?
I'm not sure. I am not sure that they were on. They might have been on the watch lists of, let's say, immigration, or in terms of moving in and out of the country. In terms of the passenger lists that are given to the airlines, I'm not sure whether all of those names were on the watch list for them to look out for. I know that since the 11th, since Tuesday, that is the case now.
Can I just follow up real quickly? You brought up NORAD. Can you say when the FAA notified NORAD of any problems?
I don't have that on me right now as to when that occurred, but in terms of our own review at the FAA in their conversations with me, they said it was done on a timely basis.
Ricardo.
Mr. Secretary, has the time come to reinforce cockpit doors so that they can't be busted down easily?
Well, one of the things that we will be looking at with this response team that we are putting together is that whole issue of the general picture being the airplane security, but the specific that we'll be also focused on is that relating to the cockpit door. There are a number of technology issues, I think, that are involved, as well as operational in terms of the access through the cockpit door. And, their health needs of the flight deck crew. You're on an 11.5-hour flight, you want to be able to eat, and you want to be able to go to the bathroom. On the other hand, if you close the door and, like a bank vault, sit there and seal the cockpit, it makes it tough. On the other hand, there are also requirements for in terms of decompression, to have vents in the door. So again, if we want to make that place secure, we also want the airplane to be able to take off. So there are a lot of issues that the response team will be taking a look at, and so I think, but we will focus on the cockpit access area.
Mr. Secretary, a number of us have concerns that we haven't yet seen a chronology from FAA. We have such a chronology of what happened Tuesday from DOD. When do you think we might be getting one from FAA and from the Department of Transportation?
Well, let me talk to them about putting that chronology together.
Mr. Secretary, you said that National Airport is temporarily closed. Does that mean it definitely will be reopened to commercial air traffic at some point in the future?
Well, we're going to be working with the Department of Defense, or the National Security Council, and with the President on that issue. Right now, the only movement we're allowing are aircraft to depart for planes that are at at National, and I'm not sure. I think we had roughly, as I recall, maybe about 125, 130 airplanes there on Friday. I'm not sure what that inventory is down to now, but I would imagine, I'd be guessing, but I bet it's probably maybe 50 between aircraft. And some of them, are corporate aircraft that are sitting there because the corporations are located in the Northern Virginia, Maryland, D.C. area. But I think, and then some of them, because we're only restricting it to south departure, if you got a 757 and the winds aren't the right way, we're not going to be able to take that 757 off.
Just as a follow-up, Mr. Gray, so is it fair to say that the administration is considering permanently closing National Airport, or is that not
No,
something?
I can't say that it's being closed permanently. I'm just saying that for right now, and I can't even give you a determinate time as to when we will be taking a look at this again. But there are people at FAA looking at how do we operate Reagan National Airport on a safe basis. Remember, there's one big major criteria: southbound arrival, southbound departure. Now, that's a criteria that has to be met in that airport operation. Once we can figure out how to do that, then we will be looking at the possibility of at least saying to the National Security Council, here's an alternative that may be possible.
One last question, Don.
Well, I have a question, but first to follow up on what you just said, since I think you might have misspoken. You don't mean southbound as in going south in each case.
Departure south, arrival from the south.
From the south, okay. And that means the downriver approach and the upriver takeoff is to be permanently banned. That's
At least for the time being, right now, that is the criteria that has been imposed on us.
all right. The other question, though, was about cargo and mail and airplane bellies. Do you expect that to be banned on passenger aircraft for the foreseeable future? Chip makers and others in Asia now are beginning to howl about this.
Well, right now, until we can deal with the security issues, that's part of there's a prohibition on cargo and mail in passenger aircraft holds. And we will be taking a look at that. Jane or Michael, anything to add to that?
I would simply add that we've had some good discussions with the post office, and we believe we've come up with a very good protocol that would allow mail to be moved in the belly of the aircraft, and also dealing with some of the cargo issues. But we will be hearing more about that. We hope that ban, therefore, can be lifted very soon, perhaps even as soon as tomorrow. The important point was to establish the right protocol with the Post Office Department. We believe we've had some very productive conversations in the last several days on that.
And does that include the scanning of mail by airlines, which cannot be done now?
In some cases, in very, very narrow circumstances, but we believe in the right kind of circumstances that we believe can be done. That may take a little bit more time, but we believe we have the protocols in place and working that through the Post Office.
Secretary Mineta,
Secretary.
Secretary Mineta, about this watch list.
Jonathan, go ahead.
You alluded to the two previous commissions and made recommendations. Even now, some of those recommendations have not been implemented, and some of the recommendations have only now been implemented at this time and were ignored during the previous years. What guarantee do we have that this task force, these recommendations will become part of our element?
Well, first of all, the report is going to come to me in 2 weeks. The way I intend these response teams to work is that as they're meeting or talking every couple of days, I'm going to be getting progress reports. So it's not as if I'm going to be sitting on the haunches. until the 1st of October. So there'll be a give and take during this whole 2 week. And as I said, these are going to be action items. I chaired in 1997 the National Civil Aviation Review Commission. I'm familiar with these kinds of blue ribbon commissions, and I don't. We didn't write or make recommendations in that NCARC to have them become dusty on some shelf somewhere. And much of the legislation that was herded by Jane Garvey following the issuance of that report have become, in fact, pieces of law that have passed since then or become regulatory change items. I intend to do the same thing here. Having overseen the NCARC process, I didn't want that to sit on the shelf, and I don't intend to have the recommendations that come out of these response teams to be sitting on the shelf. These are, for me, action items. Thank you very much, everybody.
Secretary.